Hey everyone, Bobby Zines. I'm decided to host a movie night watching the 1956 version of 1984. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the story or the book by George Orwell. I did read that in my early 20s and it was a considerable eye-opener, I'd say. Particularly to how governments work, how they treat the people, or proletarians as they call it in this film. You have Winston and his girlfriend Julia, who I think they're considered more sort of working class people. Yeah, we are getting volume, I see. Good evening to 13%er. Yeah, the mic's still terrible, isn't it? That's why, fortunately, I'm going to avoid talking as much as possible. At the end of this film, actually, we are going to put on a really interesting video I saw from Kernsey, K74 TV. It's, I believe it's a CNN documentary on the families of the victims of Sandy Hook and how they've had to deal with what they call hoaxers. And it's just a really interesting take, a really interesting spin on what is blatantly a fake event, but how they can twist it and make people seem like just how they can twist it. So I think it would be a good follow-up to 1984. Homegrown, it says, your accent tells me you're close by. You're in the Forest of Dean. I have to meet up if I'm right. I'm not particularly close to the Forest of Dean. Is that? Yeah, that's probably a good hour drive or two for me. But yeah, I am Wiltshire. That's certainly sure. Good evening to both Homegrown and 13%er. One sec. I did just do a trailer, a quick live. I did a very quick live stream with my cat to just let people know that what was going to be happening. Meet halfway then, Homegrown. Yeah, what would be halfway? Not having a map on me. Let me just get the map up a moment. See how far the Forest of Dean. I get the feeling you're north of Bristol. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I wouldn't meet up with you, but if I did, then it would have to be in Bristol. Potentially. Oh wow, you're actually on the other side of the River Severn. Yeah, you're not a million miles away from me. Actually, if you know what, Homegrown, I would not rule it out. Okay, I'm gonna get the film going. Yeah, anyone who wants to. Oh, 13% from Portishead. That is also very local. Thank you, Rainbow Bright. Subscribe to Rainbow Bright. Actually, you do some very interesting videos. Some of which I'm on board with. Others I think are not quite for me, but I certainly appreciate your good work. Yeah, Homegrown. Do you know what? I wouldn't rule out doing a meet-up. I know some channels do it. I have met up with a couple of other channels. I had to go all the way to London for it though. But yeah, I wouldn't rule out doing a West Country version. If you guys are, yeah, we'll see how it works out. So I hope you all enjoy 1984. I'm going to start playing now. Yeah, and thanks again to Rainbow Bright, Homegrown and 13%er for commenting. A couple of you are quite regular on my live streams and I really appreciate it. It really makes it worthwhile. Like I said, my microphone's terrible. Watch the film, it's about an hour and a half, after which we're going to put on a CNN video and I'm going to keep going in the comments section and maybe give you a little rundown of my opinions after the film. Okay. Here we go, 1984. This is, by the way, just for the purposes of copyright infringement. We're doing an educational review, because obviously someone owns the copyright to this film, but if you use it for the purposes of education and review, then you're not infringing. So that's where I'm going with. Kushti, I know a few awake near me. Would be great. Okay, Homegrown, I will see what we can do. You can message me on YouTube, I believe, if we ever want to do anything like that. Yeah, like I said, right, this film, I'll give you a little rundown of what it's about. Well, who's in it. Edmund O'Brien, Michael Redgrave, Jan Sterling. The stars, directed by Michael Anderson. I think this is a Hollywood film, so despite the fact originally George Orwell's book is meant to be set in London, or wherever they call it. Yeah, these people have American accents, which is typical of films. Right, guys. Okay, the film is coming up, and I'll be in the live chat. I will be muting my microphone.
From the devastation wrought by the atomic raids of 1965, three great police states rose to divide the world: Oceania, Eurasia, and East Asia. Atomic weapons were abolished, but not war itself. For only by maintaining the strain and tension of continual conflict could the ruling parties enforce absolute power. London, with its bomb-proof ministries, became capital of Airstrip 1, a province of Oceania.
Take cover, everybody. Take cover, everybody. Special bulletin from the Ministry of Peace. Eurasian rocket bombs are approaching London. Take cover. Take cover, everybody.
Stand by for an important announcement. The Ministry of Peace is happy to report that thanks to the vigilance of our gallant interceptors, no Eurasian rocket bomb was able to reach targets of any importance. We continue now with our regular broadcast.
April 18th, 1984. Nobody keeps a diary today, because to do so would be punishable by death. I don't care anymore. I found this old book by chance, and I'm going to set down what I dare not say aloud to anyone. I've seen that girl again. I'm sure she was following me. Perhaps they suspect me already.
We interrupt this program for an important bulletin. The saboteurs Lewis and Siegel were caught a few minutes ago in the neighborhood of Victory Square and have already confessed their guilt. As he was arrested, Lewis was heard to shout in a loud voice, "Long live Big Brother!"
Up with your hands. You're a traitor. You're a thought criminal. You're a Eurasian spy. I'll shoot you. I'll vaporize you. I'll send you to the uranium mine.
Quieter now, Sabina, quieter. You can't blame us for being excited enough. This is her evening with the spies.
Traitor. Thought criminal.
I thought we could take her there and then go and have a drink.
Why have you got this desk so far away from the telescreen? It ought to be over there.
There's something in what she says, you know. She doesn't miss a thing.
I'll have to report you.
Nonsense, Selina, nonsense. Winston has nothing to hide. Have you, Winston? Oh, you ready then?
Yes, I'm ready.
6748 Smith W. Regulation 6040. Outer party members will always wear identification badges when going in public places. And Smith, don't forget again.
All right, I'm ready.
I'll have some gin.
Right.
Jones. Saddle over there. Not here. Over there. Didn't you recognize them?
No.
Jones and Rutherford.
I thought they'd been liquidated.
They ought to have been. The traitors.
Remember their trial? They confessed to being in Eurasia during Hate Week last year, didn't they?
That's why the war went badly for a few months afterwards. They were able to disclose a lot of secret information.
What are they doing at Liberty?
VB granted them a pardon. Do you remember? He freed 25 prisoners in honor of the Mediterranean victory. Only BB could make a gesture like that.
I imagine they've spent some time at the Ministry of Love.
Oh, yes. That's why they're here. They're killed. Better not show so much interest.
2 gins.
Oh. Thanks. Maybe we shouldn't have stopped here. I get pretty uneasy when I'm near people who aren't healthy, if you know what I mean. Oh, well. Long live BB.
Long live VB.
Anything wrong?
No.
Coffee, please.
You looked at that girl as though you were scared.
I dislike her.
I didn't know her.
Yes, she works in the Ministry of Truth in the fiction department. They turn out books for the people.
But you've never spoken to her.
No, she watches me.
That needn't bother you. I mean, even if she's a member of the Thought Police, you've got nothing to worry about.
That's right.
I'll be coming through.
Here is an important bulletin from the Ministry of Love. Tonight, Big Brother ordered the re-arrest of the arch traitors Jones and Rutherford.
Once a traitor, always a traitor. Would you like another gin?
No, thank you.
What's the matter? Don't you feel well?
The first prize, higher than ever before, goes to 634921. Second prize, also larger than in any previous week, goes to number 81346294.
Good evening. Good evening. Remember me?
You're the gentleman that bought that old diary.
Yes. I was just passing by. I looked in. I was wondering if you might have anything else in which I'd be interested. Do you mind if I look around?
Not at all.
What is this?
Oh, that's coral, that is. That probably came from the Indian Ocean. Look. They used to embed it in glass like that. Oh, it must be 100 years old, or more.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is a beautiful thing. Not beauty as we understand it today, of course. It serves no useful purpose. But then, I'm an old man.
How much is it?
I could let you have it for 15 shillings.
Have you change?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, there's another room upstairs. There's not much in it, just a few pieces. Perhaps you would care to see it.
Yes, I'd like to.
I'll lead the way. We lived here until my wife died. I'm selling off the furniture little by little.
There's no telescreen here.
Of course not. It's a people's area.
I know, but it seems strange. That's an interesting picture.
It was a church. Do you know that word?
Yes, there were still churches when I was a child. You must have been a grown man before I was born. You can remember what it was like in the days before the revolution.
Yes.
You can remember the oppression and the injustice and the poverty back in the 50s.
Vaguely.
I'm keeping you from your other customers.
Yes. Well, you have a look around. Oh, excuse me. Good evening.
Good evening. I saw some things in the window and wanted to have a closer look.
Anything in particular?
No. You seem to have some interesting things.
I doubt if I have anything of interest to a young lady like yourself.
I see. Do you have many customers?
Alas, no. The antique business is just about finished.
Do many outer-party members come here?
Why should they? Ah, there you are. Your change.
Thank you.
Your paperweight.
Smith, W.
Where do you work?
In the Ministry of Truth.
Which department?
The Records Department.
What is your business in the people's area?
I had a headache. I thought if I got a little air.
When did you leave work?
1,800 hours.
It's now 2200. Report tomorrow morning at 800 hours to Court Administration.
Smith, W.
You took a rather long walk last night?
Yes.
Did it help your headache?
I don't have one this morning.
Perhaps you've been working too hard.
I don't think so.
You find your job at the records department too exacting.
No.
What do you do, Smith?
I revise history.
That's an unfortunate way of putting it. What you actually do is to rectify speeches and wrongly reported incidents, isn't it?
Yes.
Shows how great the need is for establishing newspeak as the official language as soon as possible. When the new dictionary is issued, there'll be less danger of calling things by their wrong names.
Did you visit any of the shops in the People's area last night?
No. Did you speak to anyone?
No.
Did you see any other member of the outer party on your walk?
No.
You know the party disapproves of its members mixing with the people?
Yes.
You consider that unreasonable?
No.
6748, you're a member of a privileged class, expected to accept restrictions as well as privileges. I had hoped we might be able to deal with this matter here in your own ministry. But your explanations are inadequate. This report will be forwarded to the Ministry of Love for further action.
I think we can deal with it here. You're warned to pay strict attention to the regulations in the future. You can return to your department.
Directive number 424B, issued at 1000 hours.
6748, Smith W. Reference Big Brother's Order Gazette, November 12, 1983. Since the Eurasian offensive has opened in South India, it is impossible that Big Brother predicted this front would remain quiet. Rewrite entire speech. Show that through our magnificent espionage system, Big Brother had prior knowledge of all the enemy's plans.
Packhammer's Gazette, November 12th, 1983.
Signed 6127S. The following men have been found guilty of treason and no longer exist. Conrad Zarlinger, Gordon Prentice, Harold Sherrill. Delete all reference to them from the gazettes of January 2nd, 8th, and 26th.
Back numbers Gazette, January the 2nd, 8th, 26th.
What have you got there, Smith?
This photograph was between the pages of the Gazette.
What photograph?
Jones and Rutherford. They confessed to aiding the underground and being in Eurasia during Hate Week. But here it says...
What are you talking about, Smith? I don't see any photograph. No photograph of the traitors Jones and Rutherford exists, does it?
No.
The system is not perfect. Sometimes there are errors.
Attention, comrades. Take your places for the 2-minute hate.
We are at war with the people of Eurasia, the vile and ruthless aggressors who have committed countless atrocities and who are guilty of every bestial crime a human being can commit. They've waste our land, destroyed our factories, looted our homes, massacred our children, and raped our women. They have tortured and killed the wounded and prisoners, contriving lingering and horrible deaths for those who fall into their hands. While our gallant forces are engaged in a life and death struggle, we face on the home front an enemy who is far more dangerous. One of our own people, the arch-traitor Canada. This is the man, the leader of the underground, who betrayed our glorious revolution and would betray Big Brother. The man whose agents sabotaged our glorious 9-year plan, who retards our progress and sells our military secrets to the enemy.
Hang the criminal.
He is trying to tell you that Big Brother has betrayed you into fighting a war against Eurasia that you can never hope to win. He says the Eurasians are good, kind people. They do not want war. They want peace. He actually begs you to make peace with your brothers of Eurasia.
Hate! 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 Hate!
The marriage committee gave us permission this morning. Who did they choose for you? Comrade Bendon, the Victory Orations Department.
Oh.
Of course, politically, he's perfect. If our medical grades match, they're arranging a meeting next week.
Oh, Smith, there's a seat here.
Smith, you haven't given me your contribution.
Which one is that?
The Hate Week.
Oh, just a minute.
Oh, we're making an all-out effort, going to put on a tremendous show. Now, who else hasn't paid? Oh, Syme here.
Already we've broken down the family as a unit and made it an extension of the thought police. Spies have trained children to put loyalty to the party first, without any consideration for their parents.
What time do you finish work?
1830.
Our next step is the complete abolition of the old-fashioned conception of love between man and woman. This energy must be diverted.
Where shall we meet?
The party. The anti-sex
Victory Square, the monument.
Men and women will be conditioned
What time?
so that physical contact
1900 hours.
by a feeling of repulsion. Within 100 years from now, the sexual impulse will exist only as a symbol of duty towards the party.
In a few seconds, Eurasian prisoners will be passing through Victory Square. These are the evil men whose ruthless lust for power has threatened to destroy the civilized world. Evil men who preferred war, but already they are beginning to learn the mistake they have made as they encounter the might of Oceania. army is sweeping back the invading hordes of Eurasians. The figures of prisoners taken is the biggest since the war began. Now is your chance, comrades, to let them hear the voice of Oceania. There they are!
Hello? We're all right. There's no microphone here.
It takes a little while to realize you're not being overheard.
Or watched. We can look at each other now and not be afraid.
We can say whatever we like to each other.
We can even touch each other. If we want to.
You know, I don't even know your name.
It's Julia. And yours is Winston.
How'd you know that?
But I want to find something out. I have ways. It took me ages to get that message to you.
I thought you were spying on me when you came into that shop.
You thought I was a good party member. Pure in word and deed.
That's why I was afraid of you. You know, I hated you and I wanted to kill you. That's what Big Brother's done to us all. Made us hate and fear each other. How did you know I wasn't a good party member?
Something in your face. Somehow I knew you'd be against them. It'll be safe here once or twice again, and then we'll have to go somewhere else.
Eventually they'll find us out. I won't let you take that risk from me.
I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for myself. If you keep the big rules, it's safe to break the little ones.
You've been here before, haven't you?
Yes. Does that shock you?
No.
They're afraid of love. Because love makes a world they can't control. And it's a world worth taking risks for, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. It's more than 2 weeks since we have been able to meet, except for a few moments in a crowd or near a telescreen. There must be a message in the usual place tonight.
Thought criminal.
Hello, Selina. I didn't hear you coming.
You weren't meant to. We're trained as spies to follow people silently.
Why were you following me?
We're told to follow anyone who behaves suspiciously.
What was suspicious about my behavior?
It's suspicious coming here.
I was working in my room on an article for Newspeak. A page blew out the window. I saw it flutter down here, and I came to try to find it.
I saw you pick up something.
I dropped my cigarettes, that's all. It's dark now. I'll have to look on my way to work tomorrow. Are you coming, Selina? Are you coming, Selina?
Yes, I'm coming.
It is now 22:30 hours. Power must be conserved for our victory effort. All lights will be extinguished.
Good night, comrades. Tomorrow, your work for the party must be better than today. Remember, even in your sleep, Big Brother is watching you. Big Brother is watching you.
How long did I sleep?
I don't know. I was dozing myself.
We'll have to be leaving soon.
I wonder if we dare come here again.
I think we're safe for another Sunday.
Then what do we do? Go on seeing each other every day without being able to speak. Passing on the streets and pretending not to recognize each other.
I know. If only there was somewhere where we needn't be afraid all the time. Where we could be together longer.
Julia, there is somewhere. That old shop. There's a room above it where no one could rent that room.
The old man in the
Yes. And there's no telescreen. I believe I
would have to know. Anytime he wanted, he could report us.
I don't think he would. I've talked with him. He's only interested in his antiques. And renting the room would give him a little money so he wouldn't have to sell all his treasures. You saw him yourself.
Sooner or later, we'll have to trust someone.
I'm going to do it.
have found out.
We shouldn't have stayed so long.
It's no use, it's too late.
Go on, up there. Quickly, go on.
Sunday tomorrow. She said she would be there.
The young lady was very nice about it, but I think you'll find it more comfortable now. Oh, since you were both last here, I've managed to get you some pots and pans. And I took some of my old stuff downstairs. Oh, and everything in the kitchen works now. I'm afraid it's not as peaceful as you might like.
I like it. I don't hear much singing where I live.
Oh, we do in this district. Popular songs, of course. The party keeps us well supplied with those. Oh, this is perhaps the young lady now. Yes. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Oh, well, I'll be leaving you now. Should you require anything, I'm just below. Thank you.
You're late. What happened to you?
The anti-sex meeting went on forever. I thought those silly women would never stop talking. Then I had to pick up some things.
I was afraid something might keep you from getting here.
You worry too much. Look what I have.
What's that? Coffee. Real coffee.
Real sugar.
How did you manage it?
It's all inner party stuff. They have everything.
Yes, but where did you get it?
A friend.
A friend?
A girlfriend.
What else do you have in there?
You'll see. I'll make some coffee.
Julia, you hear that woman singing? I like that. I believe it's people like her who will one day overthrow Big Brother and all he stands for. Julia?
Just a minute.
You're beautiful. Look at you. Look at you. If only some of those bloodless females could see you now, see what a woman can really look like. rat. A rat! It's gone now.
I've never seen you like this.
It's the one thing I really hate. The one thing I'm really afraid of.
Why?
When I was a child, where I lived, there were swarms of... One day, my sister... Forgive me. I didn't mean to upset you.
I'll make some coffee.
Yes.
Will you help me?
Yes.
Did you feel this was water?
I'm sorry.
Put the sugar in the bowl.
If only you didn't have to wear these again. I wish you could stay always as you are now. That would be worth fighting. There must be something we can do about it. If only I knew someone in the underground.
People who have anything to do with the underground don't live long.
There's a man at the Ministry of Truth called O'Connor.
He's a member of the inner party.
I think he's against them, too. Sooner or later, you've got to trust someone. You said so yourself.
Yes, but I didn't mean someone in the inner party. Someone who could have you vaporized by lifting his little finger.
I don't know. I think I could trust O'Connor.
The only people we can trust are ourselves.
Do you remember Jones and Rutherford? They were accused of being in Eurasia during Hate Week last year. Well, they weren't. They were right here, being honored by Big Brother. Some weeks ago, I found a newspaper photograph. O'Connor saw me with it.
And he didn't report you?
If he had, I wouldn't be here. There was a little scrap of evidence out of the past that they'd forgotten to destroy, and I had it right in my hand.
Darling, you can't fight them alone.
If there is an underground, if it isn't another of their inventions to keep people hysterical, I want to be part of it. One of these days, I'm going to let O'Connor know how I feel.
Now, please.
Don't worry, I won't do anything stupid. I'll wait till he gives me some sort of signal. Something that lets me know.
Issues details today of the full list of crimes confessed by the traitors Jones and Rutherford. These atrocious acts of treachery include the embezzlement of party funds, the murder of many trusted party members, immoral relations with women of the party, and collaboration with the leader of the underground, the arch-traitor, Canador.
Fifth W.
Yes?
What's in the briefcase?
I brought some work home with me. I was about to write an article on the grammar of newspeak.
Bring it to the screen and open it.
These are notes for the article.
All members of the records department have to report for late duty in an hour's time. Meanwhile, carry on with your work.
All organizations taking part in the Hate Week demonstrations are preparing their programs with unprecedented enthusiasm. Never before in the history of Oceania have we been given so much cause for a show of concentrated hatred against the enemy. We continue now with our regular broadcasts.
The exclusive employment of words sanctioned by the party will reduce the possibility of confusion and doublethink. Work is already progressing on the latest edition of the Newspeak Dictionary, which will replace all previous editions.
You seem to take a scholarly interest in the new dictionary, Smith.
Oh, hardly scholarly.
Have you seen any of the material we're using?
No, Syme told me about it.
Syme?
Yes, he works over...
Syme no longer exists. The work has to be carried on, of course. It seems to me you're more equipped to do it than anyone else. I'd like you to look at that new material. Perhaps you can pick it up at my apartment. I'll give you the address. I'm usually in after 1900 hours. Come along as soon as you can. I've reason to believe that you can be of great value to us.
But I tell you, it's the same handwriting.
You mean he just gave you his address and said he wanted to talk to you at his home? Things like that don't happen. It would be too dangerous.
He made some sort of excuse about the new dictionary.
You know, if you're wrong, it would be the end of all this. Once they get hold of us, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that either one of us can do for the other. They can make us confess anything.
But they can't make us believe it. They can't get inside of us.
Who knows what they can do?
Julia, I'm convinced O'Connor's a member of the underground. He's our one hope. I'm going through with this. I have to. But there's no need for you.
Whatever you're going to do, I'm coming with you.
He has announced tonight that production figures for this year already exceed those of the corresponding date in 1983 by over 12%.
All right, Martin, you can bring them in now.
In certain categories, this increase is even greater. For example, hardware goods such as kitchen utensils are 17.5% higher than last year. Shoes show a staggering increase of 21%. Shoelaces, however, show only an increase of 5%. It is confidently predicted that this increased production will continue throughout this year. The Ministry of Plenty is confident that 1984 will demonstrate the complete success of Big Brother's 9-year plan.
You can turn it off?
A few members of the inner party have that privilege. Well?
Is that really off? We've come here because
you both believe there's a conspiracy, some kind of organization working against Big Brother.
Yes, we believe that you're involved in it. We want to join it and work for it.
That's all right. Martin is one of us. All right, Martin, bring the drinks over here. Might as well sit and talk in comfort. I think it's fitting we should begin by drinking a toast. It's wine. I'm afraid not much of it reaches the outer party. What shall we drink to? The triumph of Caledor? The confusion of the thought police?
Down with Big Brother.
Down with Big Brother. You can go now, Martin. But before you go, take a good look at these two comrades' faces. You'll be seeing them again. In general terms, what are you prepared to do? You are, of course, prepared to give your lives.
Yes.
You're prepared to commit murder?
Yes.
To betray your country to a foreign power?
Yes.
Are you prepared to separate and never see one another anymore?
No.
No.
did well to tell me. Of course, you realize that you'll be fighting in the dark. You'll have nothing to sustain you except the idea. When you're caught, you will get no help. Later, I will send you a book which will teach you the nature of the society we live in and the strategy we shall use to destroy it. But you get no information about your own organization. When you receive orders, they will have come from me. I assume that you have some kind of hiding place.
Yes, a room over a junk shop. We go there Sundays when we can.
That briefcase, do you always carry it?
As a rule, yes.
Every day during Hate Week, carry it empty. Well, now I'm afraid it's time for you to go. Even we are not allowed to turn that off as long as we would want.
I used to be afraid there was no underground.
Perhaps the party invented us. Oh, and Smith, if I were you, I would destroy that diary.
Brother, comrades, Big Brother is always merciful. He stands ever ready to welcome back to his loving protection those who have seen the error of their ways. One sin is unforgivable, the sin of treason. Tonight the traitors Rutherford and Jones will speak to you themselves before they're taken away to the death they so richly deserve. For themselves the grave crimes they have committed in thought, word, and deed. Hear them for yourselves.
I am here tonight to tell you of the grave crimes which I have committed in thought, word, and deed, for which I am now truly penitent. I betrayed my country to our enemy, the Eurasians. I conspired with the arch-traitor Calidor.
Excuse me, comrades. I think you've taken the wrong briefcase.
I conspired with the arch-traitor Calidor to overthrow Big Brother.
Darling. I've got it. Calidor's book. Somebody stopped me in the square last night and gave me this briefcase. Look how like my own it is. Shows you how well organized the underground is. Now, listen.
Not just now, darling.
Well, there may not be another chance for weeks. There's going to be a rush at the records office. You know how it is during Hate Week. The speeches are full of mistakes, and we've got to put them right. Now, listen. Calidor says the aim of the ruling class is to stay where it is. The aim of the middle class is to overthrow the ruling class. And the aim of the lower class is to create a society in which all classes are equal. Big Brother has so organized the inner party that there is no danger of the ruling class being deposed. Darling, aren't you listening?
I'd like to have had a child.
that's why this is so important, Julia.
It's just words.
No, Julia, this can make everything we want possible. Don't you want to understand what we're fighting for?
I found that out already. Here in this room.
We've got to fight to keep this happening.
I know. But it won't be Calidor's book or any underground that will defeat them.
What then?
Don't you see that? There must be others in love like us who will rebel. Can't stop that.
That's the real hope for the future.
I wonder if it could happen in our lifetime.
Maybe. But the important thing is that there's hope in the world.
All I know is, when we're together, it's wonderful to be alive.
You are the dead.
You are the dead.
The mirror. It must be a telescreen.
Can't be.
They're all around the house. Don't resist.
Stand in the middle of the room. Stand back to back. Don't touch each other. Put your hands over your heads.
I think I warned you it wouldn't be as peaceful here as you could like. Nothing is ever hidden from the thought police. Take them away.
Smith, uncover your face.
You're prepared to commit murder? Yes. Betray your country to a foreign power? Yes. Are you prepared to separate and never see one another anymore?
No.
Julia! Silence! Julia! Silence, Smith!
When a woman's arrested, what happens to her? Where do they take the women?
They won't hang me, will they? They'll know my record.
Why have they arrested you?
There I was, trying to do my bit, never knowing I had any bad stuff in my mind. Oh, do you know what they heard me say? Down with Big Brother. I said that in my sleep. said it over and over again, it seems. I'm glad they got me before it went any further. You know what I'm going to say when I go up before the tribunal? Thank you. I'm going to say thank you for saving me before it was too late.
Who denounced you?
My little girl. She heard what I was saying. I don't bear her any grudge for it. It shows I brought her up in the right spirit anyway.
Room 101.
No. I've told you everything. What else do you want to know? There's nothing I won't confess to. Nothing. Nothing!
Right.
What's room 101?
They wouldn't hang me, would they? For going off the track just once.
What's room 101?
O'Connor. Take his bed.
Don't be in too much of a hurry to find out about room 101. You'll find out in good time.
What have you done with Julia?
She betrayed you, Winston.
You tortured her.
I've watched over you for a long time. Now I'm going to help you. First, there are some preliminaries to be gone through, but after that, you will be brought to me and we will talk. So the time has come, Winston. Do you know where you are, Winston?
The Ministry of Love.
Fine. Do you know how long you've been here?
Days. Weeks. Months. It must be months.
Do you know why we bring people to this place?
Yes. Make them confess.
You don't really believe that?
No, I suppose I don't. To punish them.
No. We bring them here to cure them, to make them sane. Nobody that we bring here ever leaves our hands uncured.
Why don't you kill me?
The first thing you must understand about this place, Winston, is that there are no martyrdoms. You've read of the religious persecutions of the past. They were failures. They set out to eradicate heresies, and they ended by perpetuating them. We do not make that mistake. We make them tell the truth.
Why bother with me?
You are a flaw in the pattern, Winston. You are a stain which has to be wiped out. When finally you confess to us, it must be of your own free will. We do not destroy the heretic, we convert him. We capture his inner mind. We reshape him. We burn all evil out of him. We bring him over to our side, not merely in appearance, but genuinely. Heart and soul. We make him one of ourselves. No one whom we bring to this place ever stands out against us. We will lead you, step by step, to the point from which there is no return. Never again will you be capable of love or friendship, or joy of life, or laughter, or courage, or curiosity, or integrity. You will be hollow. We will squeeze you empty, and then we will fill you with ourselves, with love of Big Brother. Now, before we begin your cure, are there any questions you would like to ask?
Where is Julia?
She's alive. Next question.
Does Calidor exist? Does the underground exist?
That, Winston, you will never know. But that question, Winston, proves that you are mentally deranged. You have a defective memory. You are unable to remember real events, and you persuade yourself that you remember events which never happened. For example, do you remember receiving a book supposedly written by Calidor?
Yes. Somebody gave it to me in Victory Square.
You're quite sure that that book ever existed? I want the truth, Winston. Tell me what you think you remember.
I had the book.
Take him away. Let us take another delusion of yours. You believe you had in your hands a photograph of the traitors, Jones and Rutherford.
I did have it.
You believe it was some sort of documentary evidence proving their confessions were false. I remember telling you that the photograph did not exist.
It did exist. It does exist. It exists in my memory. I remember it. You remember it.
I do not remember it. There is a party directive dealing with the control of the past. Repeat it to me.
Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past.
And where do you suppose this past exists?
In records.
The party controls all records.
And in human memories.
The party controls all human memories.
How can you control the memory? You haven't controlled mine.
On the contrary, you haven't controlled it. That is why you're here. You've been lacking in humility and self-discipline. You must make an effort of the will, Winston, and rehabilitate your mind. Then you will be sane. But first, you must be humble. Do you remember writing in that diary of yours that freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4? How many fingers am I holding out?
4.
And if the state says not 4, but 5, how many?
4.
Take him. Now, how many fingers?
4. 4. What else can I say? 4.
.20.
.20. 1, 2, out.
How many fingers, Winston?
4. 4.
.30.
.30. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5. Anything you like. Only stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
That's no use, Winston. You're lying. You still think there are 4.
How can I help seeing what's in front of my eyes? 2 and 2 are 4.
Sometimes. We've had all that out before. Sometimes they are 4, sometimes, if the state says so, they are 5. How many fingers?
I'm trying to see 5.
Which do you want? To persuade me that you see 5 or really to see them?
Really to see them.
.60.
.60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Again, how many fingers?
I don't know. I don't know. 4, 5, 6. In all honesty, I don't know.
Better. Now, Winston, without any persuasion. There are 5 fingers there. Do you see 5 fingers?
Yes.
Look at me. Did you ever read a book by Calidore?
No.
No such book ever existed, did it?
No.
You see how the mind can be controlled and washed clean. Even the traitors, Jones and Rutherford, in whose innocence you once believed, in the end we broke them down. When we had finished with them, there was nothing left in them except sorrow for what they had done and love of Big Brother. Stand up. Come over here. That's enough. It's a long time since you've seen yourself, Winston. Look.
What have you done to me?
Can you think of a single degradation that has not happened to you?
No.
Are you prepared to separate and never see one another anymore?
No.
Julia. Julia. I have not betrayed Julia. I have not betrayed Julia.
No. No, that is perfectly true. You have not betrayed Julia. Come with me, Winston. Winston, you were once curious about room 101. It is not one room, but many. This one, for instance. You're going to find out what lies beyond that door, Winston. But to whet your curiosity, I will give you a hint. In room 101 is the worst thing in the world. Of course, that varies from individual to individual. It may be burial alive, or death by drowning, or by fire, or by impalement, or 50 other deaths. Which death do you fear most in all the world, Winston? I needn't answer. You've already told me.
A rat. A rat. It's gone now.
Never seen you like this.
It's the one thing I really hate. The one thing I'm really
really afraid of.
Why?
When I was a child, where I lived, there were swarms of them. One day, my sister.
Will you lead the way, Winston?
Not to me. Not to me. To Julia, not to me. I don't care what you do to her. Let her suffer. Not to me. To Julia. Not to
Now, Winston, you are wholly ours. You have been washed clean. You will be released tomorrow.
Attention. A later bulletin has just been issued by the Ministry of Peace. The southward advance of the Eurasian army on the African front is still continuing. It is feared that unless a counterattack is launched immediately, the whole of Central Africa may fall to the invading hordes. A defeat in this area might well threaten the very heart of Oceania itself. In this grave crisis, the Ministry of Truth will continue to issue frequent bulletins.
I betrayed you.
I betrayed you.
I threatened you with something. Something you can't bear to think about. You find yourself saying, don't do it to me. Do it to someone else. Later, you tell yourself. You just said it to make them stop. But it's not true. The time when it happens, you mean it.
All you care about is yourself.
All you care about is yourself.
And then you don't feel the same way about the other person any longer.
No. You don't feel the same any longer.
I never thought that I'd be...
Attention, everybody. Attention. Here is the latest bulletin that's just been received from the front in Africa. News has just been received that a vast maneuver planned by Big Brother and involving perfect coordination between the land and sea forces of Oceania has resulted in the utter rout of the Eurasian army in Africa. The enemy is completely demoralized and fleeing before our victorious troops. Long live Big Brother!
This, then, is a story of the future. It could be the story of our children if we fail to preserve their heritage of freedom.
Hey everyone, thank you for sitting through that with me. I've had some good comments in the live chat. Bear in mind, anyone who came in at the last minute and started watching this, you can skip straight back to the beginning of the video and watch it from the beginning. I'll certainly be leaving this up, this video available for probably half a day or two, and I might then upload it to 153 News for anyone to catch. I'm aware there's like copyright stuff goes on with films. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to follow that video with one more. It's only 20 minutes. This obviously it's getting late here in the UK, nearly midnight. Like I said, I'm going to put on one more video just as a sort of follow-up. Just as a comparison to what the film 1984 and the book suggests our governments would be capable of doing and what they're actually doing. I think this is a good comparison. I found it on the Kernsey channel. He's now called K74 TV, that's his current channel now. It is here. I think I've left a link to this video and this guy's channel in the description if you want to see it. There's also a link to 1984. And then I'll give you an overview of the film if anyone's got any comments. I'll also read through some of the comments because a few people brought up some good points. Yeah, okay, so here is the real world propaganda. The light was pumped out by the Ministry of Truth, which is something I call the BBC, and it's probably a good name for lots of media agencies, the Ministry of Truth. Like I say, here we go with, the video is actually called The Pot Calls the Kettle Black. It appears to be done by someone called Newsy. That's probably the channel that commissioned it. Right, and we'll take a look at how this channel looks at people trying to reveal the truth about Sandy Hook. Okay, right, here we go. We'll play.
Sandy Hook shooting really happened.
Nothing. I know in my heart and soul that it's a lie.
The conspiracy world has evolved in the last 10 years. They have intruded into my life.
I was stunned. And I was pissed. The cruel stuff that they said about Allison.
Dear God, if I am wrong, I've hurt many, many innocent people.
At the time he was betrayed and entered willingly into his passion, he took bread, giving thanks, broke it, and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you." In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took the chalice, and once more giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me."
It's tough, you know. I have sorry. You know, you have so many memories that come back to you, you know, of just the things that took place during those days, you know, and I remember one state police officer standing at attention at this child's casket the whole mass, and I remember I came over in the middle of the night one time, and he was sitting there reading to them, you know, like, and he said, like, I looked at him, he said, "I know," he says, "but this is what I'd be doing if I were home, and I'm sure this is what his dad would be doing if he were home," you know, so, well.
It's been 5 years since the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School left 26 people dead. Funerals for 8 of the 20 children killed were held here at St. Rose of Lima Church. The community is still healing, but that healing process has been disturbed as victims and community leaders are targeted online.
I remember my older brother calling me and saying, "Don't go on YouTube." And he said, there's some incredible things being said about you by these hoaxsters, or whatever group you want to call them. I mean, you know, you're in so much pain. You're trying to focus so much on bringing healing and strength and hope, and you have somebody that just wants to deny this ever happened. Someone that wants to deny that we just made this up, that we fabricated these horrible tragedies, you know. And these caskets were right there in front of that altar with the body in it. They weren't actors. I don't understand it. We have had issues with one particular individual. You know, I've had to encounter the police. You know, he arrived one time with cameras. I mean,
are you able to identify what his name is?
Wolfgang Halbig.
Wolfgang Halbig has appeared as an expert on the Sandy Hook shooting several times on Alex Jones's web-based show, InfoWars.
And Wolfgang has been back up there. He's doing a serious investigation. He's been getting stonewalled, but has learned a lot.
These were events that were specially shot, filmed, choreographed for CNN to have fun with it.
It's not just some nuisance online. It affects real people here.
Absolutely, yeah. He's very invasive, you know, and he may enjoy that kind of power he has, you know, that I think all the additional security that's gone into so many institutions are for him as well.
He went to school, I dropped them off, and no one knew that was going to be the last day of his life.
Leonard Posner is the father of Noah Posner. The 6-year-old was the youngest child killed in the Sandy Hook shooting. He asked that we not reveal his face because photos of him and his son have been misused before. He also asked that we keep his location secret. He's had to move 6 times after being harassed by hoaxers.
This was in Miami.
Oh, the Holocaust Museum?
Yeah. At the time he was being playful, but now it's like he's part of that sculpture. So this was a place that hoaxers initially started to post hateful comments on these photos, yeah.
On photos of Noah.
Mm-hmm.
When did you first see or hear conspiracy theories about your tragedy?
I saw them right away. I saw them in January of 2013, which was just like 3 weeks after the event. I released his birth certificate, I released his death certificate, I released his medical examiner's report, I released his school records, sort of showing the world, here's Noah, and this is his life. This is how he was born, and this is how he died.
The documents convinced some, but other so-called truthers remained relentless. In 2014, after a school shooting in Pakistan, mourners were photographed holding images of school shooting victims, including Noah. Conspiracy theory host Alex Jones presented it to his audience of millions.
The BBC articles and others that show Mr. Posner's son that they're saying is a child killed in a terror attack a few months ago in Pakistan. Do I know the whole story? No, I don't know the whole story. But am I being lied to? Absolutely, I'm being lied to.
That was all they needed. And from there, Noah became a much larger focus. They find anything that's out of place, and the existence of something that's out of place immediately says that it's a hoax or a false flag, or however they define it.
Posner launched the Honor Network, an organization of volunteers that fight hoaxers and trolls online, flagging abusive content and copyrighted photos of his son.
So these are YouTube
These are all
videos?
been taken down, yeah. These are all gone.
And you've flagged them one by one?
These are all one by one, yeah. So it takes a lot of time and dedication to do that.
How many have you been able to take down?
Thousands.
He has received death threats online and on the phone.
Did you hide your imaginary son in the attic? Are you still him? You Jew bastard? Jew bastard. Look behind you. Death is coming to you real soon.
That voice was identified as 57-year-old Lucy Richards. She pleaded guilty to sending the threats and was sentenced to 5 months in prison. She told investigators she became angry after browsing websites that promote Sandy Hook conspiracies.
That's the type of people that are now communicating together. They're collaborating, they're using the web to do it. I describe it as the largest network of village idiots in the world. And so, as with any cult, you need a dynamic leader, and there are several of them from the top, from Alex Jones all the way down to people like Wolfgang Halbig in Florida.
Posner filed a lawsuit against Halbig for harassment and publishing private information online.
This has been playing out in court for a couple of years now, and we're about to head to a hearing and hear a number of motions in this case.
We weren't allowed to film because a photographer from a website called We Are Change arrived before us. The judge in this case only allowed one camera. So this site, that often spreads conspiracy theories raising questions on tragedies from 9/11 to the Orlando shooting, had exclusive filming access. This is their video. The attorney representing Posner tried to block them from filming because they've posted videos on their YouTube channel before, inciting a response from their followers, many of whom believe the shooting was staged. Also at the hearing, Tony Mead, the man who runs this Sandy Hook Hoax Facebook page, a hub for Sandy Hook truthers. Mead is a huge supporter of Halbig and attends his court hearings. We spoke to him a day earlier at a beach near his home.
Why do you think all these people would be lying and conspiring together? For what purpose?
Society does not evolve through coincidence and happenstance. Society is engineered, okay? There are people thinking about how the world should evolve.
Here's how We Are Change covered the hearing. They interviewed Mead as a Sandy Hook expert.
So we all left there pretty much high five, smiles, and happy. And Liz interviewed me yesterday. She is, basically a mainstream media propagandist, who most likely is going to try to make us appear like some kind of crazy conspiracy nut jobs, which we are, but we're also just trying to seek the truth.
We caught up with Halbig's attorney, Caleb Payne, and asked about his client denying the Sandy Hook shooting ever happened, a question they didn't want to address in the hearing.
But you think that's irrelevant to this case, is that correct?
I don't have a comment on that.
You don't have a comment on whether or not your client thinks the Sandy Hook shooting happened or not?
I have to keep my client's rights.
Do you think that matters in this case, whether or not he believed it happened?
I have no comment on that question.
Payne told us he's taking the case pro bono.
All right, let's go to my house. You got my address?
I do. So conspiracy theorists, they've always existed, but they've always kind of been on the fringe of society. But now, as we've seen play out in the 2016 election, conspiracy theorists play a role in the national conversation. So we've reached a point where I think they can no longer be ignored.
A lot of people do not think it was an authentic certificate.
How can you say that if this...
You won't report it, Wolf, but many people do not think it was authentic. His mother was not in the hospital.
This case shows how fake news can lead to a dangerous situation. He allegedly pointed the gun in the direction of an employee and fired the weapon inside the restaurant. The origin of this crazy story was a posting on WikiLeaks.
This is so deep. It's a deep state. They want retribution. This is now about an unelected part of your government looking to overturn the results of a duly elected president.
It's a political witch hunt. It needs to be stopped.
I want more people getting it like Sean Hannity. I want to see everybody get it.
Your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope.
A couple months after that interview, the Newtown Board of Education wrote a letter to President Trump. It says, Jones repeatedly tells his listeners and viewers that he has your ears and your respect. It asked Trump to intervene to stop Jones and similar hoaxers. The board never got a response.
Wait a minute. Hi. Come on, girl. Come on in. Hey.
Okay, so just first off broadly, when did you become interested in the Sandy Hook case?
Probably about 10 days to 3 weeks after I saw breaking news. Because of what I do as a national school safety consultant, you couldn't have gotten me away from that television screen.
And so you've sent a number of Freedom of Information Act requests to the town of Newtown. How many did you send?
They will tell you that I have frustrated them. I think that's a good word to use. And the reason I send duplicate requests is because they never answer the first request.
He says he sent at least 30 requests to the town of Newtown.
How much money has been donated to you?
I would probably say I've got probably $88,000.
$88,000?
Yeah.
He's previously said he's received more than $100,000 in donations.
If Sandy Hook was a hoax, why would all these people be involved in it?
We're not prepared to answer a question like that.
See, again, who said it's a hoax?
You've said it in the past, online.
Are you ready for this? I'm repeating what other people said.
These repetitions, that the Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax, that the children never died, that the government hired so-called crisis actors that faked the tragedy in a plot to grab people's guns, have been circulated countless times on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on blogs. Some profit by accepting donations on their sites through PayPal, and others on YouTube amass a huge following and cash in through advertisements on their videos.
So 49 people died here at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, and almost right after it happened, there were hoaxers online that said it never happened, that none of these people died.
Orlando, Las Vegas, and most recently Sutherland Springs. Separate mass shootings, but the conspiracy theories that circulate online immediately after a high-profile tragedy have a similar narrative, that it was staged by the government in an elaborate plot to take away people's guns. It's a storyline Andy Parker is familiar with.
You're victimized by the loss of your daughter. And then on the underbelly and the flip side, or on the other end of it, is you're victimized by people that think that you're a crisis actor, that the whole thing was made up.
Parker's daughter was shot on live television while she was reporting on a story one morning in August 2015.
The lives and promising careers of reporter Allison Parker, 24, and cameraman Adam Ward, 27, cut short.
My heart was broken irreparably. I mean, I'll never be the same again. I lived with this heartbreak and heartache, and my soul was just crushed. It was ripped out of me. I never watched the video of Allison being killed. You know, fortunately, you know, we weren't up, we didn't see it, and never will. It's still out there like a booby trap. I had a YouTube channel, myself, a YouTube page. It was basically just, you know, Allison's dance recitals and kayaking videos and just, you know, family kind of stuff. I had some old commercials because I was a professional actor, you know, way back when, and I had these commercials that were on videotape, and I thought, well, this is a good place to archive them. So I uploaded this stuff. I went to my page and I saw thousands of comments and thumbs down, and I was stunned. And I was pissed, you know, that somebody could be that low and vile and do that kind of thing.
Parker reached out to Posner, the father of Noah, who was killed during the Sandy Hook shooting and is actively fighting hoaxers. Parker gave him permission to act on his behalf to flag videos of Allison.
They are trying to be cooperative, but they're just not. I mean, you talk to Lenny, who's trying to pull these things down one by one, and they've been successful in eliminating a lot of the hoaxer stuff, but it's not because Google's been proactive. And I would have had to do it myself, and that's asking, you know, can you imagine, you know, someone telling you, well, if you want this done, you have to review the video and then flag it. I mean, I can't do that.
Parker has been fighting to get the attention of policymakers in Washington, D.C., in hopes that something can be done to rein in the conspiracies and false information online.
Some of them aren't even aware. You know, they had no idea. And what I tell them is that, you know, I'm victimized once, losing the most precious thing that I ever had. And then on top of that, then I'm going to get harassment. And there's a company that allows that to happen. You don't want to impede the First Amendment. That having been said, you know, there needs to be some kind of policing. And if Google or Facebook or Twitter, if they're not going to self-police or self-regulate, then I think the next step is we've got to see some legislation in there that will hold them accountable.
Part of the problem, tech companies are having a sort of identity crisis, and they're facing intense scrutiny on Capitol Hill.
Twitter accounts created as part of the Russian propaganda campaign helped the Russians form an entire army of automated Twitter bots and trolls that overwhelmingly supported one U.S. candidate.
Let me ask Google this to be fair. Are you a media company or a neutral technology platform?
We're a technology platform primarily.
That's what I thought you'd say. Yeah. You don't think you're one of the largest newspaper in 92 countries?
We're not a newspaper. We're a platform for sharing of information.
We don't write any news articles, so certainly we're different than a media company, but that doesn't mean we don't have responsibility. Where we're trying to go after is the false news, the fake, the hoax.
So far, that social media crackdown on disinformation and made-up news has largely ignored truther accounts, which still post prominently on Facebook, YouTube, and other sites. We reached out to these tech companies to ask why that is. A Facebook spokesman told us they've taken steps to disrupt financial incentives for hoaxers and collaborate with third-party fact-checkers to vet news articles. But he also said this page, Sandy Hook Hoax, listed as an education website, and others like it, don't violate company policy. One question now is how far Congress can or should go to regulate social platforms without crossing free speech concerns. On Capitol Hill, Parker met with Senator Tim Kaine's office to discuss the issue. He shows us a letter the senator wrote to the CEO of Google, asking the company to address hoaxer videos rampant on the platform related to high-profile tragedies like his.
Having a dedicated office to work with the bereaved, to remove this footage or demonetize it, rather than only being able to communicate through customer service, could ease the burden on these families. Well, that's nice.
It is.
A couple weeks after the hearing, Posner dropped the case against Halbig. 2 years and over $20,000 later, he says he doesn't think he can get a fair trial in Lake County. The Sandy Hook hoaxers now feel emboldened.
I do believe Leonard Posner, he is that domino that's going to make the whole thing just fall apart.
For Posner, the death of his son on December 14th, 2012, is an irrefutable fact he has to live with. And now with the chaos of the internet, dealing with hoaxers that accuse him of faking it, also part of his reality.
I see this as the very, very early age of the internet, and I see the problem getting continuously getting worse, as it has been. So when we started working on this, this was completely out in left field. Now it's shifted into more of the mainstream because the group of victims is growing.
This vigil is held by the Newtown Action Alliance, and it marks the 5-year anniversary since the Sandy Hook tragedy. Since then, there's been so many other mass shootings that this event is meant to honor all victims of gun violence.
Allison Parker, August 26, 2015.
Becky Somsky, 2015. The students and staff of Sandy Hook School, December 14th, 2012.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, dear.
Do you think that the Las Vegas shooting was real?
I don't. I think everyone is wondering what happened in Las Vegas at this point. Why is there so much cover-up?
And what about the Boston Marathon bombing?
The Boston Marathon bombing has been exposed 100% by alternative media.
And what about the Pulse nightclub shooting?
Again, exposed 100%.
Okay, everyone, thanks for sitting through that. I'll take a look at some of the comments before I say goodnight to you all. Something fishy, the internet has nothing to do with fake anything, it's just another venue. Do you know what, I think the internet will be massively important in bringing about this kind of Big Brother world that we saw in the film 1984. I mean, when I originally read that in my 20s, I thought, who would allow big monitors watching them in their own home? But you think about it nowadays, with an internet, with a webcam, with microphones, realistically they have the power to switch them on and off anytime they want. And in most cases you're giving them that power with the permissions you people agree to without giving it a huge amount of thought. One thing, I got a couple of views on 1984. Part of me thinks it is prophetic in a way. It was William Burroughs was his pen name, trying to give us a look at what he believed the world might become. Although part of me wonders if it is Big Brother's way of saying, look, no one messes with us, okay? This is what happens to you. We'll fry your mind, as it were. Similar to another book, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was someone that tried to fight the system, rebel, and he ended up lobotomized in a hospital bed. It's a very familiar story of the little person getting crushed. And if you think about it, Winston and Julia, they weren't actually the little people. They were members of the outer group, outer ring. And Yeah, and they were much more heavily controlled than the proletarians, people they class as the working class, I guess. One thing I think 1984 got wrong, whether deliberately or not, was it believed it would remove religion. God would be no more, no one would speak about God. And I don't know, personally, I believe the Bible survives through God's will. I don't think, could be wrong, I do not believe any efforts made by the satanic ruling elite will remove the Bible, in my opinion. I really hope that's true, but we'll see. And with religion, because in the book they talk about how horrific the people of 1984 in the story were taught that religion was oppressive, which, well, as far as we are taught these days, it was quite oppressive. So yeah, that's my thought on that. Also, the book touched on a subject which didn't come up in here, where it talks about how the planets and stars are a couple of kilometres away. The sun revolves around the Earth, and obviously Winston's disputing it. He says, no, I know that's not true. And O'Connor makes a point that reality is what Big Brother decides reality is. If they want to convince people of one thing, then that's what they'll convince it of. Again, where the film kind of differs to reality, although who's to say it's not going to be 2084, we'll see, 2048 maybe, when the story of Big Brother properly comes in. I don't think we'll ever get there. Yeah, they never. Yeah, it was a good. Right, going through the chat. I'd like to say huge thank you to 13%er, Created X1, Something Fishy, Rainbow Bright, We Are Free TV, all for contributing to the live chat. Massively appreciated. I will try and come back with another film soon. There are quite a lot of videos that I feel I could share, and it would be worth other people seeing. It's some really boring parts, but overall it's really good. We Are Free. I no longer follow religion. Researched them and found it's all for profit instead of going within. Absolutely, mainstream religion is all about profit. There probably are some out there where their members are at least doing what they believe is the right thing. But yeah, at the base of it is, it's all about funding themselves. Interestingly, 1984, money was not really, certainly not part of the outer group. Money wasn't even a thing. Everything was rationed. There was a part where in the book where he would keep referencing how much chocolate would be rationed and then razor blades were rationed, and this wasn't done because, well, they would use the excuse that they were at war and production, importing certain items became very difficult, but Winston believed it was just a lie to keep the people down, to keep the people controlled. Created X1 says true Christianity isn't a religion. That is very true. It seems that any time men and women form to create and organise religion, well, it's ruled by imperfect humans, so it's never going to be perfect. I guess that is what Christianity teaches. We're waiting for the resurrection, judgment, and that is when we can start living that kind of life. Again, something the book 1984 would have you believe